All right, let's watch this. The Spill Dev Hangout. We got the Valheim section just up above. I've already seen this once, and I've seen a recap, and I've got some ideas, but I figured the best format would be just talking about ideas that I had as they come up in the interview. Let's get to it. Beautiful. I hope we get those things outside, but it's doubtful. As ingredients, again, I want all that. Cool potion there. Hold on. Was that just a frost, or what we got? It's a bit fancier than a basic frost. That's cool. And even more potions and candles. I love it. I love all this decoration. I'm thinking, obviously, certain things, maybe plus comfort. I would love that. Potions, different effects, but again, we'll get into that. The Bog Witch. Really cool.
Ooh, very mysterious. All right, so I'm joined by people from Iron Gate. Hello.
We got excellent quality of life manager. Not a manager, but he's the man. One of my favorite devs at Iron Gate. Jace Mars. Absolutely legendary. And we got this nice little Locks fella too. I don't recognize... We'll have to see the introductions.
Welcome. I'm joined by Josephine and Jonathan.
Yeah. Hi.
So glad you could make
What
it.
was that?
Oh, hello. Welcome. I'm joined by Josephine and Jonathan.
Yeah.
So glad you could make it.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course.
Okay.
We pretty close.
Yes.
Iron Gate is like.
I don't know, 100 meters?
Yeah. But it's a little bit different here this time. There's wires going everywhere and tons of people here.
Oh, we have wires all the time in our office. Like,
I guess so, yeah.
We have such
That's why you know so much.
Yeah, such an annoying big office. Anyways, yeah, so welcome. We're going to talk about Valheim, and we're going to talk about what we just saw. Very mysterious.
Yes,
What did
what
we
you
just
just saw
witness?
was a teaser trailer for our Bog Witch update, which is something that's
Oh,
coming
it's
fairly
fucking Monty. Oh my god. Okay. I don't know why. He must have just said Josephine. And I don't know why I heard that as Jessica. My mistake. I didn't recognize Monty. Anyway.
soon.
Yeah.
And there is a longer version of that trailer, but you'll have to wait until it
Oh, I
hits the
can't
public
wait.
test branch before you get to see that.
What is
These
the-
two have been wonderful. Monty's been excellent. Monty's Josephine. And Monty's been in charge of social media stuff, just uploading posts here and there. Such a good job. I mean, considering the update release schedule that we've had, doing the best with what we got, basically. And when Monty was making the posts primarily on Valheim Discord server 2, that was wonderful. I love that. Things were going well there in that front. I've had nothing but pleasant vibes, pleasant experiences from Monty, and especially from Jace Mars. He hasn't been around all that long in the grand scheme of Valheim, but he's immediately gone and set up the different build snap points, along with quite a bit of other really awesome shenanigans that just add so much to the quality of life in Valheim. I mean, his voice at the dev table in favor of these quality of life and whatnot, being the one that take initiative, put his work in, and craft these magnificent features for us. I love it. So we've got a good mix. I mean, Monty's also the voice that you hear with the fireside chats that we've had, which is just wonderful. It's just, I love that. I absolutely, back in the day, I'm just going to plug myself before we get into it. Back in my potato era, video quality. I predicted like a few days before one of the Hearth and Home teasers dropped that I expected that we would be getting some sort of a bow nerf, and I expected a battle axe buff. And that Monday when the teaser dropped, boom, there's Monty talking about how we got exactly that. And it was just a moment of good game analysis from me and good game understanding and implementation from Irongate. And just after Hearth and Home, we got the ever so pound for pound magnificent update called the Root Update. Well, it wasn't really called that. That's what I call it. The Root Update. You get your A-bombs, roots. They kept adding stuff to it, tweaking it. They made the A-bombs a little bit more difficult. I love it. There's still a lot of strategy to break down what they do. It's very subtle. That's just how it goes in Valheim. Strategy's subtle. But still very exciting. I love the A-bomb trophies, and they kept adding either aesthetic or mechanical uses as we went on in the updates, like Mistlands update, boom, root for Arbalest, things like that. Also the A-bomb trophy for fishing bait. It's like adding Guck to the A-bomb loot table, which was done before Mistlands update. But, they kept on adding good things to an already excellent, small-sized update that was just top quality. And not even to mention the absolute quality of the root set. Game changer. Helped with mid-game bow progression. Of course, Pierce Res, Poison Res is game changing. By going into this Bog Witch update, doing something hopefully a little similar, although it seems like it's going to be a little bit larger from the get-go, we seem to be going in a very positive direction when it comes to these smaller updates. When these smaller updates hit, I want them to be firing on all cylinders. Mechanical benefits, aesthetics in harmony, coming together with no missed opportunities within. And this is something we actually didn't have as much with Hilder's Quest, because there was a lot of aesthetic, there was a lot of non-combatant like farming thing. So if you're just a non-combatant on a co-op world or a co-op server, you're just set up to farm or do what have you, you can put on some of the Hilder's stuff. And again, this is the fact that those benefits exist. Again, we credit that to who else? Jace Mars. Jace Mars vouched for the mechanical benefits, even if they are farming. He wanted there to be at least something, which is great. Of course, the mini dungeons are nice, but specifically Sealed Tower, getting those early eggs is just phenomenal. Even then, there were so many opportunities to get specific loot from, or just ingredients that give us recipes for gear that could have had that mechanical benefit. When we look at Brenna, when we look at I'm blanking, Gerhafa, and when we look at Zeal and Thunder, there's a lot of potential to fill in the gaps, weapons that are missing, with really cool additions. And also interesting rewards potentially from Hilder herself once we give the chest back, instead of just increasing her stock. And we didn't get that. So a little bit of missed layups there, which is unfortunate. The balance of mechanics to aesthetics per what you had to do in the quest was off, especially when you compare it to the root update. But when I see all of the stuff that we're going to get to, I'm very excited. So I just want to preface that there. I'm really hoping that we go down this route of in-between updates that hopefully are a bit more frequent if they know how to make them with a good balance of mechanical and aesthetic implements. I'm really hoping that once we get this on a roll, that this just goes and blows everybody's minds, and that it satisfies the community, and that we have a change in perception in the Valheim update schedule. Because it doesn't take much. When you look at the way that the root update was received, it doesn't take that much to make people super pleased with an update schedule. I made a video not too long ago, it must have been like 6 months ago actually, about update schedule like this. Again, root update every 3 or 6 months. That would be super, super well received. I mean, you lay out X amount of, I think I said like 5 and 5, or maybe 5 and 3. I forget what the ratio of mechanical items to aesthetic items were. But if you have that type of schedule, you're immediately beating Minecraft in their update schedule. Automatically. You add those things, you add a mob or two, boom, that's it. That's it. That's all you need. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this update. And I really hope not to be disappointed with any missed layups. But again, just judging by what we're going to get into, I doubt it.
So for people who have not played Valheim, could you give me like a quick elevator pitch of like what Valheim is all about? For the 2 people that watch the stream that don't know what Valheim is.
Yeah, what do we say? I don't know.
Viking adventure game with crafting and exploration?
Yeah, for up to 10 players. So play with friends or play it by yourself.
Yeah.
I'd say. So, yeah.
Build the base, defeat monsters, gain the glory of the Allfather.
Yeah, I was brought into Valheim just by looking at it because I remember the end of that year I was playing AC Valhalla, and my friends were getting pretty into Rust. And Valheim dropped, and I was like, oh, wow. You know, look, a co-op PvE Viking fantasy adventure Rust. You know, open world, that limited style, but we're crafting, we're building. It's like, you know, it might not be the most apt. It might not be the best descriptor of what we got, but it absolutely sucked me into that game, and look where we are now. I have 2,200 plus hours in Valheim, and yeah, it's pretty fantastic. But I want to see the updates done exceedingly well, and hopefully we can return just some general sort of consensus of update goodwill, because from what I've heard, Ashlands was a mixed reception, let's say.
Very nice. Very cool. All right, so yeah, let's talk about what's in this update. Do you want to kick it?
Yeah, so I mean, while we're working on Deep North, which is what everybody wants, obviously, it's in pre-production. So we've also been working on this smaller update, which is going to come, like we said, within a few weeks, I think. Without setting an exact, like whenever we feel it's ready, it's going to be out on the public test branch.
PTB.
It's going to be like a smaller update that has things that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate, though.
It is going to feature the Bog Witch, the eponymous. She is a trader, and you can buy some stuff from her, which will let you do more things, including make feasts.
Yeah, so feasts are like food level 2, kind of like you can combine lots of different stuff and make it look a lot nicer. You can place foods on the tables directly. You don't need to use these item stands for everything anymore.
Aesthetic.
And the
So much
feasts
fun.
are
Decoration. I'm a decorator at heart. I'm all about that. Let's go.
much better. You can and they can put up the feasts, which are huge, and they can be eaten multiple times by.
And they last
What was that?
longer too.
And they last.
Okay. So you can eat them multiple times. So assuming you can just stack 2 or even 3 of the same food in your slot. Just munch, munch, munch. And they last a long time. This might be particularly good for deep adventures, semi-combatants, if you're just looking to have long-lasting food, like jerky-esque food. This might be the crossover between what would be a jerky-lasting food and more combat-intensive, mechanically optimized grub for whatever biome period that you're in. Which is super interesting because the balance there was in terms of ingredients, the way that you source them, the renewability of them. And so it would be interesting to see how feasts work in terms of balancing, because they went for quantity of ingredients seemingly here. So just vast quantities. You put in the quantity and then you get basically two for the price of two. But you put more in, you get more out. Simple balancing. You put a shit ton of ingredients in, you get long-lasting food that is also seemingly combat viable because, stats good. It's going to be interesting because being able to split different types of food around is fascinating. We don't have too much variety in terms of purely balanced food. We don't have as much in terms of odd splits between health, stamina, either. We don't we need more of that. We need much more of that. And it would be really cool to have sort of a better balanced food in terms of the mid game. That would be an easy selection, but again, at a great cost. So I can see the game balancing on feasts being really cool. I can see the aesthetics and decoration value on feasts being also very nice. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it provides a really good thought in terms of what are we going to craft. Makes you make a actual meaningful decision in terms of mechanics, whether it comes to combatants or semi-combatants or any sort of all-round player. And I hope it looks great. Let's keep going.
It's much longer, yeah. So the stats are a little bit different, but I think people will appreciate that you can be out on adventure a lot longer with that.
Out on adventure.
Yeah, and you can also make potions from the ingredients that she sells.
Yeah, a lot of new potions. Some of them more special than others. Like might be a love potion in there for
love potion. Okay, so love potion. I've heard a theory about love potions. Nice little idea that the love potion might be to help increase tame rates by an extreme amount, or just even a good amount. That would be a really nice idea. Get your tames in real quick. Lovely. I like that. I don't know what else it would be used for. It's just curious. But I like the tames idea. I think that's a really good idea because right now, taming is quite a process. You gotta sort of sneak around for half an hour, real time, basically. And oh boy, that is a process. He levels your sneak a lot, and I like that. You can take the opportunity, especially in the early game, if you manage to find 2-star boars, and slap on that troll set and really start grinding out sneak levels at the same time that you're taming whatever mob. And that's really nice, especially when you're going into like an unknown area, like a newer player who isn't exactly familiar with best strategies when you're being super aggressive or even ranging down enemies in specific ways. If you're unsure about certain things, sneaking can definitely help you out there. And but for experienced players returning, being able to find a merchant, go out, craft yourself a love potion, and just say, okay, I don't really need sneak that much. I'm just going to toss a love potion. That's nice. That's a good way to make sort of later tames much more manageable. I like that. Let's keep going.
For those who are interested, I'm not going to spoil more than that, but
that's for discovery.
But also, I mean, the fact that there's like a bunch of potions too. Like, what could they be? What do you guys think? Like, I really don't know. Some of them might be like goofy, but honestly, like, all of our potions so far have been really mechanical and quite good, to be honest. I love the potions. But what do you think? That's just curious. Very curious.
Could be, yeah. And also, I think one of the big things in this update is we're adding a few skills to the game,
Yes.
which have been asked from the community for forever, for farming and cooking and crafting, or building, basically.
Yes.
Which,
okay, here we go. That's huge. Farming, cooking, building, we like that. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players who are not always out in combat, doing all the different weapons and stuff. They're staying home in the bed.
semi-combatants. He's mentioning them straight up. Semi-combatants, non-combatants mentioned and appreciated officially, dev-wise. You love to see that. You know, not everybody's gonna be a giga gamer, going out crushing mobs in spectacular ways like maybe people in my community. Or me. You know what I mean? Not everybody's killing the Ashlands boss with no armor and just a two-handed sword. Not looking at myself. Again, somebody else. Scales. Anyway. Everybody's got their own interesting ratio that they enjoy, especially in co-op play, of adventure and building and calm and, I guess, base life. I don't even want to call it base work, because that implies that it's something that they really like are not too into for a great deal of people. No, it's base life. Living life around the base, getting immersed into it, getting all your artistic and mechanical stuff done with great satisfaction depending on the player. And I mean, there's enough people at this point in the game, at this point in the game's lifetime, where, hey, semi-combatants finally recognized, non-combatants recognized. You love to see that, and you love to see that there's dev quality of life being implemented in the game to advance that. What I'm interested in is, are there going to be a sort of in-between in terms of certain gear that might have a little bit of mechanical benefits for going out and adventuring, and that might have mechanical benefits also for doing base life? So, very curious. Maybe something has a decent amount of armor, but also has a nice boost in terms of the a farming skill, perhaps. You know, very interesting to see how that goes, because there's always the option of balancing out different gear that have very low armor ratings but very high base life skill boosting. Like you look at Hilder's gear, but the inverse of that we have as well, just pure adventuring mechanics, combatant stuff. To have a mix of that would be fascinating. I want to see what they do with that. But I'm excited. Building skill, I can totally see the building skill actually improving on your trap damage, which is fascinating to me. I would love to see that. Just making some of these, especially high investment traps, like your Mistlands traps. Those stake walls are super expensive, and seeing them get boosted up heavily would be awesome. As somebody who is more on the side of mechanic style builder in game rather than a art piece builder, I've done a bit of art piece building on a PAL's community server. I've done a bit of that, and I like that, but going through it with the whole adventure, that's my style. I've become an all-round player, and being able to boost up the trap side of things, or like maybe wall defenses, just raw defenses on stake walls as well, that would be fascinating. Farming, maybe I would really love if we had canonized sort of the, not canonized, but like actually in-game implemented some things regarding the mass farming mod. Some people just need that because of hand, wrist issues, what have you, arm issues. Some people just cannot get enough of that quality of life. The mod's been around for a while, and I cannot blame them for it, because it's awesome. Like, if you see mass farming plus, like, seed totem or something like that, that's sick. That's really cool. And I cannot blame them whatsoever. So, if we get similar stuff implemented, I would like that. I think that's a possibility. I remember earlier on, wanting some sort of more advanced cultivators that might bring that. That would be nice. But yeah, I'm excited for that. We'll have to see what it does.
And they want to get some sort of an edge on, like, they've been farming forever, so they want to have a
I got
skill
someone in
So
mind
that's
for
something
that.
we've been thinking about for a long time, not quite figuring out how we can implement that in a good way, but I think we found something that we're quite happy with.
Okay.
So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I just had a random question. I gotta get this out of my head. Is the Bog Witch based on some like real mythological thing, or?
No, I think she's mostly based on one type of creature that we already have in the game. I guess it's safe to say.
So I immediately think Fulling Shaman, because real mythological creature, that's a Dvergr. You know, Haldor and Hildur are based off of mythological creatures. So I think Valheim unique, I think Fullings, because they have that unique name. They're not just called goblins or whatever, even though we might refer to them as such. So Fulling Shaman, I think that fits the vibe of the Bog Witch. Certainly, hopefully dripped out in all sorts of garb. Very excited there. Maybe also, oh man, I would love to be able to get some early magic from Bog Witch somehow. There's like there's another side of the Galder magic in I think it's from Icelandic lore in history, where it's like the scythe table, like scythe in Galder. I believe that's how you say it. I don't know, but there's like a light magic and a dark magic, and having access to some sort of earlier table to get like more early focused magic that would allow for a lot easier, more natural, fluid progression. It would bring a lot of mechanical advantages really to the forefront of the Bog Witch. I did predict that maybe Hildur could provide some sort of magical stuff, because she has the runestone similar to Haldor, but nope, didn't get that. That's fine. Maybe more magic tech or magical iter based like build things. No, we didn't get that either, which is unfortunate. But Bog Witch, there's a very real potential, especially considering we're getting into the potion side of things already. I would be super interested in like a swamp tier progression on this sort of things. Hildur, I feel like still like maybe even an early Arbalest could be implemented there, or an early form of crossbow, some sort of Mountains Age sort of deal, which would be fantastic for that biome going onward. Again, just super great ease of natural progression into these levels where we're just not inspired to not endlessly, but like very often just grind as soon as we get access to these skills like crossbows and elemental and blood magic. I don't mind grinding out until like specific breakpoints, like 40 and 40 for elemental and crossbows. That's not too bad. It's way too much for a hefty amount of gamers, though. And so I would always prefer natural progression, always. Even personally, not minding certain minutes of grind, I would still prefer the natural progression. And so I can only hope these things are added in. I think that would be awesome.
It was Robin, our colleague, who did the main design for her.
Grimcore.
He just wanted to go off and design a cool creature.
His designs are nice.
Yeah, I would say that too. Yeah.
Very cool. So we talked about potions. We talked about feasts. Is there anything else?
Yeah, like one more thing for the, I think one of the nice things, there's some quality of life stuff basically coming in.
Mr. Quality of Life.
Like we added a prep table, so there's not as many recipes in the cauldron. There's also going to be like for another crafting station for all the meads. And also like you can craft multiple things at a time, which I know has been a huge feature request many times. And also we have one new item, which is the scythe. You can farm multiple items at a time, so you don't have to click every single one.
Which is
farm multiple items at a time, so that you don't have to click every one. So I'm assuming scythe, not just something for the plains, something for potentially all biomes going forward. Of course, swamp and beyond. But when you look at Mistlands trying to smack around some shrooms to get them dug up, no, not really the way to go. But plains crops, plains farming, you take an at gear, but if you also have a good spot that's kind of multi-layered, that's a little bit terraced, a sledge can get the job done extremely well as well in harvesting. But not, of course, planting is still a bit tedious in a sense. But we'll have to see. Maybe like the hammer having all sorts of capacity in terms of building, the scythe could also have a great deal of capacity in terms of farming. Now, the question is this just a cute little hand scythe that's going to be a representative tool like the hammer is for farming, as hammer is to building? Or is this actually going to be a large two-handed scythe that we could potentially even use in combat? This would be interesting because let's think about it like the two-handed large scythe for a moment. When we get to Plains tier, if it's just going to be a farming tool, I want it to be more efficient than an at gear and a sledge in the plains. And I want that to carry over for the rest of the biomes too, for this quality of life. Of course, at gear sledge not going to work for the other stuff, but being able to have it as that effective of a pure farming tool for all of that would really make it worthwhile. Not only that, but let's say that this thing is a weapon, like actually something that we could use. I don't think it would be attached to a new skill. I think having an option for semi-combatants, since we're very much considering them and non-combatants, I think having an option for them as a weapon that could scale off of their farming skill when attacking mobs would be really cool. You know? You reap the crops and you reap life. That's nice. I dig it. I can also very easily see it when you're implementing or when you're using it to farm. I can see that upgrading and leveling the farming skill. But maybe when you attack enemies, it could work in polearms skill. Kind of like how axes have the axes skill and also wood cutting. You know what I mean? It could work similar to that. Either way, I think a really cool idea, even if we're not going to have a cultivator that's able to be upgraded throughout the biomes with different materials, if we had a similar thing for the scythe, had it be a solid weapon all the way throughout several biomes, like all the way throughout the biomes, that would be awesome. I would really love that. Again, bringing in that sort of best of both worlds thing of mechanics and adventuring mechanics and base life mechanics. Just the combination of those two, glorious, absolutely glorious.
It's highly requested.
Highly recommended. And, yeah, so this is more like a small update. Obviously, there's going to be people that will be like, oh, Deep North when, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of other players will appreciate what's in it.
Yeah.
And we should also just say that this hasn't taken that much time away from the Deep North development. This is, I wouldn't say any percentage, but heavily like a graphic-based update. It's basically a lot of visual assets with a bit of programming behind it.
A lot of visual assets. I like that. Okay. I think what makes the idea of a small root-like update so appealing is that you already have a really good formula that you could follow. There are gaps to be filled in. You know how the mechanics work. You know how to make them stand apart. Like Iron Gate are very capable of making side grades to weapons in the same class, tier to tier. You know, you go look at Silver Sword versus Black Metal Sword. You look at Frostner, that's awesome. I mean, Porcupine's kind of sad. But Frostner, hello, that weapon's awesome. You know? Having this variety, especially when it comes to armor. You look at the more lighter sets. Whoa, variety. You can get biomes and biomes of use mechanically, optimally out of that. And it's phenomenal. And it lends itself to more non-linear, mechanically incentivized decision making. That it's just satisfying. It's just satisfying to think about, to play, to see the positive results come from combat, to get the mats from that combat, and to go out and go craft something or build something. That's awesome. That's part of the fundamental core experience of Valheim to me. They've only gone and expanded upon it since early access launch, and I hope that this Bog Witch update, along with any future small updates, can carry on a simple yet absolutely phenomenal formula that we might see. So all the way starting back Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving 2021 with the root update. Hoping that this is a continuation of that.
To create this update.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't have the entire team just jump over straight. We need to go through pre-production, plan out a lot of stuff, and do a lot of tests. So this is basically something to give the players some content that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time, and so that some of the developers have something to do while waiting for Deep North stuff. So yeah, and which we'll talk more about later, I think too.
Yeah, you stole my little cue here.
Don't steal his
But we
segues.
will talk more about this stuff because you guys are in early access right now, but
Yes.
you are gearing towards that 1.0.
Yep.
And I can tell you from experience that it is the hardest stretch. It's a rough stretch, but you guys will get there soon, and it's going to be great. But we'll talk more about that later in the stream. We'll talk more about Deep North, and we'll talk more about like 1.0 and sort of what work goes into that stuff. I think it's going to be super good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to come back.
Yeah.
Is
There was one
that?
question I had in chat that I wanted to call out, but I already forgot what it was.
So nice to watch this.
Go
Yeah,
so
no.
fast.
So what I was going to say was that I at least in our game, we tend to find that like these quality of life stuff tends to be more valuable than what we think.
Oh yeah, talk
Especially
cash
in,
money
type
with
of
that
games
quality
where
of
there's a lot
life.
of like building, and there's a lot of like, just adding the scythe could be a thing where people are like, it's a
You're
completely
talking
different
cash
game
money to
now.
Mr.
That
Quality of Life
small,
right now.
Small things.
Mr.
sometimes
J.
mean a lot
Smars,
for,
Mr.
for,
J.
like, your playstyle.
QOL
I think this is
Smars.
going to be a huge improvement for those who want to stay back in the base, and they're actually going to feel like that's something that's rewarded in a
Yeah.
different
Monty
way now.
repping that.
But it's also
Absolutely
because,
repping
there's,
that
there's definitely a list of
non-combatants.
100 things that we could do that would like say make the game easier and like a good tool, but we don't want to change everything either. Like we do want to have a certain amount of inventory management and like it's
J.
also part of
Smars
the kind of
considering game
core
balance and
experience
game
of the
feel.
So
We
I think
love
it's
to see
hard
that.
sometimes to choose what quality of life stuff goes in or what is like actually like removing you from playing the game.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to, make it so you optimize away the fun of
Yeah.
the game. And quality of life stuff tends to have that effect sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually happy to.
I love that interviewer, what he just said. We don't want to make sure we optimize the fun out of the game. We don't. The devs. We don't. The people, the players that go and figure out optimal strategies, they're not arbitrarily splicing code into the fucking game. That code has been there, oftentimes intentionally, by the devs. If what's optimal is tearing away from the game, that is a dev-based balancing issue. That is a dev-based game feel issue. And ultimately, that old quote where the players will optimize fun out of the game, this is a dev responsibility that you should expect this of the players, because guess what? Getting shit done well is a natural instinct to most gamers. It just is. And if you're going to get shit done well in the game and it's not fun, what message does that tell the gamer? If not subconsciously, but very clearly, potentially as well. Don't be good. But so a lot of people, they want to be good in this fantasy world, in this game that they can get themselves immersed to, that they can take control and totally crush it in this world. They want to do that as a fundamental part of playing the game. To a lot of game, I would say most gamers. I look at that and I think optimizing the fun out of the game, if the devs let us do that, they fucked up royally. Absolutely royally. Because it comes off to me like, don't play our fucking game. So, again, excellent dev point. You have to, as a dev, make sure that the game feel of the best stuff available is the most satisfying. Not just satisfying to me. Generally, the most satisfying. When you look back in the day, I looked at Frostner. Frostner is fucking satisfying. Frostner, when that was like one of the best things to use, especially in Melee, you got like your holy trinity back in the day of Bow Edgar Frostner. Slap a parry shield on that sometimes, you know? Holy shit, that is satisfying. Get your bonk middle mouse true combos, killing those fullings in a matter of not even seconds, but smooth kills. Starred fullings, what have you. Just decimating past biome mobs. Being able to take out Yag if you got more club levels and swords. Man, what a time. I love Frostner. I mean, before Hearth and Home, you'd be able to drop Locke super easily with the Frostner. Those creatures resist frost and blunt. It's like, alright, but the slowdown, the satisfying way that you can slow enemies down, you can mitigate the knockback with sentinel strats, getting the environment in the way, sort of camping in a spot where you can just lay combos in to what have you. That's awesome. Awesome feeling. And people generally knew that and loved it. Going forward, in every aspect, base life, whatnot, I want these best strategies to be as satisfying as the Frostner is. I want them to be as satisfying as, potentially stagger locking a fulling berserker with needle arrows is with a huntsman bow. All right, that's satisfying. Frostner satisfying. Your at gear is satisfying. Okay, looking at the base life, the farming, the way that using a sledge or more common in that gear for plains crops, the way that that's satisfying. That is optimal and extremely fun. And we know that. And so seeing the devs understand that and work positively towards that satisfying feeling, awesome. Awesome. What else is there to say but amazing? We love it.
I played Satisfactory a few years ago, but I'm really happy to play like at 1.0 now, which I haven't done yet, to see like, okay, what did
it's garbage. Don't worry about it. The game is still the same. It's still garbage. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys will be back.
Yeah, see you later.
We'll talk more with the crew behind Valheim.
Yeah.
But right now, I've got another couch waiting, and I'm...
All right. That was nice. Somehow I got 44 minutes out of that, but, certain things give a lot of ideas. Like, for instance, I didn't yet talk about what that extra large frost potion was. Maybe that's a immunity potion. I don't know. What could it be? Who knows? Let me know your own ideas. Let me know what you think that the scythe, the potions, the potential of getting an early magic or early what have you. Let me know what you think about all that, your own ideas, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys some other time. Bye.